The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came to Jesus and said to him, "Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask of you." He replied, "What do you wish for me to do for you?" They answered him, "Grant that in your glory we may sit one at your right and the other at your left." Jesus said to them, "You do not know what you are asking. Can you drink the cup that I drink, or be baptized with the baptism with which I am baptized?" They said to him, "We can." Jesus said to them, "The cup that I drink you will drink, and the baptism which I am baptized you will be baptized. But to sit at my right or at my left is not mine to give, but is for those for whom it has been prepared." When the 10 heard this, they became indignant at James and John. And Jesus summoned them and said to them, "You know that those who are recognized as rulers over the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great ones make their authority over them felt. But it shall not be so among you. Rather, whoever wishes to be great among you will be your servant. Whoever wishes to be first among you will be the slave of all. For the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as ransom for many." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Well, let me begin by saying, yes, they are live trees. It's hard to believe. Remember that book you used to read as kids, Where the Wild Things Are? Remember when Max, his room, all of a sudden, all these trees started growing in his room? That's what it reminds me. And I don't know. I thought they were fake trees, and I told Gillespie I'd like to keep them for a while until we get the Christmas decorations up. She said they're real, and that I have to water them. I said, "Well, why don't you take them Monday, and we'll just enjoy them." Maybe, Lori, we should get some cans and try to cripple them for a couple of weeks. I don't know, maybe not. I also want to point out to you that we removed that platform. Evidently, somebody 30 years ago or so thought, "I got a good idea. Let's cover this marble with a wooden platform and then glue a green carpet over the whole thing, including the stairs." And I'm serious. Somebody said, "That's a good idea." And I guess somebody else said, "Okay, yeah, I think that's a good idea." So they did it, and that's been the way it has been for a very long time. And we just removed it last week. And so I thought, well, since we got that beautiful marble, maybe we can kind of raise up the altar cloth so you can see the steps underneath. You see what I'm getting at here? That's the artist's eye, okay? And yeah, you can go take a look. It's pretty nice. And those that is, most marble comes from Italy, but the best marble comes from Spain. And this is Spanish marble. Now, Jesus probably doesn't care, okay? But I think it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Our gospel today has James and John, who are the sons of Zebedee, and they're the inner circle of the inner circle. I mean, being part of the 12 is pretty close as you can get. But they're the inner circle of the 12. And they were at the Transfiguration, both James and John, along with Peter. Remember, the Transfiguration happened just after Peter's confession, which is when it was revealed that he was the Messiah. And he started to give them an idea of what the ramifications of a Messiah is, which is to suffer and die at the hands of the elders and the chief priests. Which, of course, that didn't go over so well with the disciples. Then they had the Mount of Transfiguration. They're coming off after witnessing this amazing event. And Jesus starts to remind them again that the Son of Man must go to Jerusalem, be handed over to suffer and to die. So I imagine that James and John at this point are very upset. They're very upset for many reasons. They're Elijah, their prophet. Their teacher that they've been following around for 3 years is going on the suicide mission to Jerusalem. And also, he's implying, if you want to follow me, you must take up your cross and follow me as well. So kind of indicating, at least subtly, that just as I am going to die on this cross, you too will die on the cross, which we know they all did, except for the beloved disciple John. So they're very nervous, and they're very upset. And God's will, and Jesus' will, which is the same, right? It's not what they want. So what do? They start to negotiate, which is something that we all do. We negotiate when we don't like our situation. And they negotiate by saying, teacher, well, first of all, I love the way they start. They say, teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask of you. Now, I don't have kids, all right? I don't know if you're aware of this, but a priest doesn't have children, okay? But I do have nieces and nephews, so those are the closest that I can have, for children. And, I love them dearly and I spoil them tremendously. But I'll tell you, little baby Abe came up to me and said, Uncle Chapin, I want you to do for me whatever I ask of you. I think I would be a bit weary, I don't think I'd just say, okay. Who knows? She might ask for an elephant for, all I know. But Jesus is very patient. He goes, what do you want me to do for you? And they say, grant that in your glory we shall sit at your right and your left hand. And Jesus says, you don't know what you're saying. You have no idea what you're talking about. When he starts talking about the cup that he has to drink from and the baptism that he has to be baptized with, what he's talking about is his death. They don't totally understand that. But they understand that it isn't probably what they are thinking, which of course they're looking for a political Messiah. They're looking for deliverance from Rome. They're looking for a warrior king. They're looking for a knight on a white shining horse and not a rabbi on the back of a donkey. Okay, they're looking for somebody to drive the Romans into the sea and conquer them, not somebody that's going to go to the Romans and then be beaten and killed and hung on a cross. That's not their idea. They're hoping they can ride on the coattails of glory with this whole right and left hand thing. So Jesus uses this as what is known as a teachable moment. And he says, guys, you want to be the greatest? You got to be the smallest. You want to be the biggest guy in the room? You've got to be the servant, the slave of all. Which is completely contradictory to what they were thinking greatness was. And continues to be completely contradictory to what we think greatness is to be. But it is very true that if you want the shortest cut, the fastest way to Jesus Christ is to find some other human being and to serve them and to do something for them without expectation of recompense. The idea of pouring yourself out for another person is the quickest way you will be able to understand the mystery of the good news, which is to be present and to be the slave, the servant for all. He goes on to say, the Gentiles lord it over everybody else. With you it shall not be so. Now, my mama hates when I point, and I shouldn't do that, but when he's saying you, for you it shall not be so, what he's saying is, if we are disciples of Christ, which we're claiming to be, that's us he's talking to. And if it's us he's talking about, what he's saying is, you shall not make your authority known over people. There's a lot of ways that people do that. A lot of ways. It comes in many forms. One way is just when you are self-sufficient and you have sufficient wealth and you don't think that you need anything, you have this false sense of independence and you think to God, I love you, you're going to take care of all these poor people, but I'm doing fine. Okay? He's saying, no, no, no. You need to be dependent on God. And you need to be the servant of all. If you were to take the good news and boil it down to its very essence, the word that would appear to you would be service. What have you done today for your fellow man and woman? What have you done in your life today for others that are around? That's what this message is about. And as we receive our Eucharist today, let us ask God to help us, empower us, so that we can be the servants in the hands and feet